if a certain wide receiver keeps up this pace, it's going to be massive for Auburn in multiple ways.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after it. There's a certain wide receiver that we're going to talk about in just a second that is having a great start to the fall camp, and there's so many levels to if this kid has success. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then I've never done this before, but there was an absolutely insane YouTube comment yesterday that I've got to address. So we'll jump all into that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, doesn't matter. They got what you need, and you can save big. Again, by using that coupon code BARN20, 20% is a big deal. Save big, look good, feel good. It's Rhoback.com. One of the big storylines early in fall camp is Perry Thompson. When they on the very first practice, when they trotted out 11 on 11 personnel, or let's just say the starting 11 on offense. Okay, when they started putting out a whole 11, not just running drills, not just doing pass skeleton, when they put out the first team offense, Perry Thompson was in that lineup. And that's remained a little bit, that's remained a consistent note throughout several practices. Now, are they rotating over there? Sure. Are they putting in different guys along with that first team offense? Sure. But Perry's continuing to be right there when the first group goes out. Perry's been a part of that. And I think that's really big for Auburn on so many levels. Okay. But the biggest level to me, let's not take the off the field stuff. Let's just take the on the field stuff. Okay. First off, Perry Thompson is, I would say, I don't think this is a stretch. I think physically the most impressive wide receiver that Auburn has on their roster. And that includes Cam Coleman. He's 6'3", 220 plus pounds. He can run faster. You could put him up against just about anybody on the team, and he may not win every race, but he's going to be close in every single race. He posted a graphic on his Instagram. I don't know how they do this. I'm curious to know how they do this, because I assume it has to be something they're wearing that tracks like different metrics, speed metrics, and things like that. Like it has to be. I remember back in the day, Under Armour came out with this thing where it was like this deal that like wrapped around your chest and it had this like little beacon on the chest. I'm sure it's become way more advanced, but it tracked like all your different movements and whatnot. But it tracked his speed at practice, I believe yesterday, at nearly 22 miles an hour, 21.87 miles per hour, which is insane speed, especially for that size. To give you a little bit of context, I think the fastest player ever tracked in the NFL was Tyreek Hill, and it was like 23 in a game, 23 miles per hour and some change. So just a little bit over 1 mile an hour, about a mile and a half per hour faster. But remember, Tyreek is like, 5'9", really quick twitch, doesn't take long to get started up. Like he's one of those smaller, explosive dudes that just, if you're going to be that size, you have to be incredibly fast. You just don't see guys at 6'3", 220 plus pounds really be able to move like Perry does. And you saw a lot of glimpses of that from his high school film, and you knew that the ability was there. So from a football aspect, just from the sheer football aspect, being able to complement Cam Coleman on the other side of the field with a guy of that size, with that speed, with that ability is it's really hard to even put into words how huge that is for the offense. I mean, if you just really think about the way a defense has to essentially defend, let's just say they go with two high safeties. Like you can't cheat really anywhere. You can't really cheat anywhere. And then what does that do to open up what's on the inside? Like you're going to have a safety over the top on both of these guys to help to help with help the corners on both of those sides of the field. You're going to have help over the top. And then what do you do with Eric Singleton, who may run up the seam, or Malcolm Simmons, who may run something over the middle, and then the Red Seas are parted. Just the extra threat that's if he's able to be as successful, because he has an element in that second wide receiver, that second outside wide receiver. He has an element that I don't think any of those other guys have. Like Horatio Fields, great player, unreal hands, physical, makes catches in traffic. He doesn't have that top end speed. Sam Turner, another one, good speed, very physical. He doesn't have that top end speed. It's a whole different element if Perry is who it seems like he's on his way to be, just from the football aspect. So that's very exciting. We've been hoping that he would come along because of those physical tools. That's massive. Now let's talk about the off the field stuff and why it's big. I know DeMarcus Riddick was the first to flip, but Perry Thompson was the first kid to take a chance, in my opinion, on Hugh Freeze. A big chance. Perry Thompson was the first guy to say, I put my trust in this program. I put my trust in Auburn. Probably would have had a easy shake over at Alabama. You saw what Ryan Williams did. I kind of had things go. I would have had things sort of set up over there. I took a chance on Hugh Freeze, and I signaled to everybody, hey, come with me. You can go be great at Auburn just like you can be great at Alabama. In the heart of Alabama country, Auburn just never is able to get kids out of that area. It's just so tough. And they do, but those top end guys, Alabama, and then other schools around the country come in and have their pick. And you got him. You made it an emphasis, and you got him. You really, I think, need him to pay off on the field to be able to confirm basically the story that he started to write, that it's okay to go to Auburn. And now you have results on the field that you can tie to it. I don't typically say that about a lot of guys because, hey, you can always recruit another one, and you still got Cam Coleman from in the state. So, like, he's doing what he's doing. So, is it really that big of a deal? I think it is. I think it's big because, again, Cam was never interested in Alabama. I don't know why. He was never interested in going to Alabama. Perry's one, obviously, that was committed forever. You flipped him. One that Alabama wanted really, really bad that you were able to get. And that's why I think it's important that he pops at some point in time. I don't think it's the end of the world if, whatever happens and it doesn't end up working out. But I think it just accelerates things that much more if you get the flip, you send the message that it's okay to come to Auburn, and then he can come show it on the field that it's okay to come to Auburn, and Hugh Freeze can do what he said he was going to be able to do. Perry's done everything that I think can be asked. And it seems like last year, maybe the only thing that kept him off the field was just understanding how to play college football, understanding the playbook, and understanding that it's a lot more than just going deep. There's technique to it. There were routes that they tried to run with him to get him open that he couldn't quite do at a high level, but Cam could. Those stop and goes, like the little bitty things, the little technical things he never had to learn at Foley High School. He was the best player on the team. They just throw it to him and he catches it, and then he goes and scores. So there's a lot more technique, and it seems like he's sort of getting that grasp of it. So it's huge, obviously, on the field for the reasons we just spoke of, and then it's huge off the field to add a proof of concept to the story that's being written, that it's okay if you're an in-state guy to come to Auburn. So great stuff you're hearing out of Perry Thompson. I hope that we continue to hear it, and it would just be awesome. Awesome if you could actually run those three in-state guys out there, boom, 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 Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, and be really, really good on offense. So I think that's a great storyline to follow, and hopefully it continues. I want to talk about an insane comment, absolutely insane comment. I've never done this before, but I'm going to break it down here in just a second. We'll be back right after this. For those of you that listen to the show and follow along on YouTube, I'm pretty active in the comments. Like I think that's a fun spot, a fun place to communicate back and forth. And, a lot of times it's just, whether it's just War Eagle or whether it's, yeah, I agree with that. Or sometimes, hey, if I disagree, I'll let you know about it. And we can go back and forth. I mean, it's happened often. Nothing really typically jumps out at me and is like, hey, this is so insane, it has to be addressed. But it happened yesterday. It happened yesterday. And there is a section of Auburn fans, and that you have to you really put so much effort into finding a negative. You put so much effort into trying to turn a positive comment, or not even really a positive comment, quite literally just reading or sharing news that actually happened. It doesn't even have to be like going over the top positive. You just share, hey, Omar Mabson looked really good yesterday. He broke a long touchdown run against the Ones. That's not really like saying, oh my God, he's going to win the Heisman. That's not saying, this or that. It's just telling you what happened. Hey, if this kid's good, this running back room could end up being a weapon. And this kid looks like he's ready to play. Damari Alston says, write the storyline. Omar Mabson can play. But yesterday's show was mostly about the running backs, in particular, Omar Mabson. I'm going to read the comment, okay? And then I'm going to break it down, okay? It says, and I'm not going to read his name. If you want to go find it, you can go find it in the comments from yesterday. When you have a position group that is younger and less highly recruited than your other positions, yet is a surprising standout group, it's not good. You realize that you're saying a less talented group of players are outshining the ones that are your only chance to have a good season. So, in other words, if underrated guys are successful, it must mean the higher rated guys are not good. I don't know any other way you can take that, especially under the context of what the show was about yesterday. So Omar Mabson, based off of our commit list last year, remember, he reclassified very, very late in the process. Okay, Omar ended up reclassifying, I think, either at the end of January or the beginning of February. And typically, when a kid reclassifies, unless you are a bona fide superstar, like Ryan, like let's just say like Ryan Williams, or I'll even say Xavier Crowell from Jackson that's committed to Alabama. Unless you're a bona fide stud, it's going to take some time for them to be able to re-rank you into the class. So Omar ended up being our lowest rated player in last year's class because he reclassified a year. He would have been one of the top running backs in the 2026 class, period. Okay. He had over 1,800 all-purpose yards last year, just a huge year last year at the highest classification. He would have done it again this upcoming year. He would have been one of your top backs in the country in the 2026 class. I honestly think if he were to have reclassified in, say, August of last year, so that everybody had a chance to watch his whole season, or maybe in the summer, something like that, had a chance to watch his entire senior season, I think he'd have been a lot higher in last year's class. So, is he a 3-star on the commit list? Yes, but he's not what you would typically get out of a 3-star running back. You're getting a supercharged running back just a year earlier, okay? And he's already over 210 pounds. He's one of the heaviest running backs we have. And he's immensely talented. He's incredible. I mean, he's young, but he's incredible. So that's number one. Okay, first of all, this is not just some scrub. Okay? Second of all, how awful of a take is it to say that if a underrated player is overperforming, that can only happen because the players around him are not as or worse. I guess overranked players as worse. So Caleb Harris, the only reason he's good is because everybody else sucks. Malik Blockton, the only reason he's good is because everybody else sucks. I don't get why, and I'm sure this happens across the board at other fan bases, in other fan bases as well. I don't get fans that have to seemingly put effort into finding a negative in every situation. What's the point? What's the point of being a fan if that's all that's the only lens you can view any news through is negativity. If there's something positive, it must mean there's something negative going on. It can't just be that the kid's good. I mean, come on, Sam Turner. That's another one. That was another one we talked about yesterday. Sam Turner's a good football player. Sam Turner has come in with a mindset of, I'm going to win the job. I don't screw my ranking. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to come in January. I'm going to go off in spring and have everybody talk about me. And then I'm going to try to challenge for a starting position. That's good. Freshmen play all over the place. That doesn't mean that everybody else sucks. It just means that they're really maybe way better than you expected. I've never heard anything like that. I'm sorry. I've never heard a take that says someone's only good because others suck. Like it's like this zero-sum game. It can't just be that this guy's really way better than we thought and he's pushing the room as a whole. It has to be that this guy was a 3-star, which means he's not good. So if he's performing, that means everybody else is bad. It's just crazy. Like it's an impressive amount of effort to find something negative. Again, I don't typically do this. I don't typically do this. I've never done this. I've never shamed a comment, shamed a comment before, but that one just took me back. I was like, I mean, we are really, really trying hard here. Hopefully Auburn can win some games this year, win some big games this year, have a good season, and then maybe those guys will – I'm sure they'll try to find something else to complain about, but maybe they'll at least be a little bit more quiet because, boy, oh boy, you got to shoot hard. You got to try hard to come up with that. So let me know what you think in the comments. Who knows? I may put it on the show. More than likely not, but I just felt like I had to address that one. So, guys, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about Perry Thompson, the importance of him being really, really good for the Auburn Tigers. And, hey, it's okay if a 3-star pops. That means you evaluated well. That's all that really means. It doesn't mean everybody else around him sucks. It just means, hey, you had an evaluation and you've hit it, and Auburn's done a pretty good job at hitting on a lot of these underrated guys they've gotten on early, and they've ended up popping. So we'll talk again soon. Practice is closed to the public, I believe, today. If they even have, they do have practice today. It's closed to the public, and I think they have an open practice on Thursday. So we'll have some more practice reports here soon. A lot of football to talk about. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.